thought less than that. They had 3 drivers.
Are you recording?
He said, the one boy said to me, I'm going to...
This is the audience for Speech 1, Com 110. Okay, today we're going to be speaking about, I forgot because I thought I was doing a child abuse while I'm looking at the little girl on the computer. Everybody turn around. This is the audience for Speech 1, Com 110. Okay, today we're going to be speaking about body language. What does this say to you?
Closed off.
Closed off. Anybody else?
Mad.
Mad. Okay, good. Now how about this?
Open, receptive.
Right, okay. Notice that even though I wasn't talking, I was actually communicating a lot just through my gestures and my body movement. So this may lead you to wonder, how much speaking do our bodies actually do when we're communicating, participating in interpersonal communication? Studies have shown that during interpersonal communication, only 7% of what we're trying to say is being communicated verbally. Of the 93% of nonverbal communication that is occurring, 38% is through vocal tones and 55% is through facial expressions and body language. To communicate what you intend to say, it is necessary to become aware of these signals that your body tends to give off in certain situations. Today, I will be discussing particular forms of nonverbal communication and noting what they mean in order to make you more adept communicators. First, it is necessary to examine how body language actually works. Typically, body language occurs unconsciously. It describes, to a certain degree, the quality of our communication. That is, you can judge the formality of a relationship based on the way the person in front of you presents themselves. Thus, body language ranges from the way a person dresses to where they choose to place their eyes, and even to where they rest their hands. Moreover, how we interpret body language depends on the situation, the culture, and the relationship happening between the two people. Also, gender plays a role. Therefore, there are no universal codes when it comes to body language. But for the purpose of this speech, we're going to be using American culture body language cues. Most importantly, we need to remember that body language does convey emotion. So it could be emotion that you really don't want to show people, that you're trying to hide. So it's really helpful to become aware. Therefore, it is especially important to become well-versed in body language so that we may become keener on each other's emotions and even more in tune with our own emotions when we're practicing interpersonal communication. What does it mean for somebody to look you in the eye? Anybody?
Respect.
Anybody else?
You have their attention.
Okay. So, eye contact is one of the most important nonverbal guides that you really have for communication. Not maintaining eye contact with another while talking to them could deem them untrustworthy. And just specifically in our culture, because if you go outside of our culture and you are staring at somebody intensely, it could be impolite. So when people look up and to the right and they're speaking with you, it could be a good cue that they're actually lying or fabricating what they're saying. And when people actually look up and to the left, they're most likely just trying to remember what they're trying to say. Eye contact can also convey that a person is trying to pay attention to you and that they really respect you, just as Chris said. Now that you know how to read somebody else's eye contact, it is important to kind of improve your own eye contact. An article by Steve Atchison gives 6 easy ways to improve your eye contact. So the first is when you're talking to a group of people, You should maintain eye contact not just with one person but with all of them, because if you're only talking, looking at one person in the eye, it means you're really only speaking to them. So you really need to switch it up. Next, when you're talking to somebody one-on-one, it may be a little bit creepy to stare at them too intensely. So what you're supposed to do is called the triangle method. You stare at one eye for 5 seconds, then you go to the next eye for another 5 seconds, and to the mouth, and you just switch it around until the conversation's over. And it's important never to look down, because that signifies to the other person that you're trying to end the conversation. When you're listening to somebody on the flip side, you should be sure not to stare too hard at them, as it could be off-putting for the speaker. Instead, you should, okay. And are you interested in a foolproof way to winning arguments without saying a word?
Sure.
Okay, well what you do is you stare your arch nemesis in the eye and you try to keep silent. But if you can't keep silent, and it's just so hard because you have all these good points that you want to share, you really want to make sure to keep eye contact with them while you're making your own points, to show that you really have confidence in your points and you're taking a stand. Remember, interpreting body language is dependent upon the genders. So there's a whole realm of eye contact that really depends on female to male relationships, that it being love and lust. So if you wish to convey to someone that you're attracted to them, you want to use their whole face as a focal point, staring into their eyes, looking at their nose, raising your eyebrows when you look at a certain feature that you particularly like, and moving across their whole entire face. But when you want to convey to somebody that you love them, it's important to kind of stare longingly into their eyes and really make a deep connection through your eyes. Now that we're well versed on the ins and outs of eye contact, we can move on to another body signal that quite easily reveals a person's emotions. Any guesses?
Arms.
Yes. The placement of your arms can reveal a plethora of emotions. Obviously, an arm that is reached out, like so, depicts that you're welcoming or you're trying to offer comfort. But what about crossed arms? Like we said in the beginning, that kind of shows that the person is a little defensive, a little closed off, perhaps they don't want to let you in. But also, it kind of says that they don't want to let themselves out. They're fencing themselves off from you. And also, you need to keep in mind that if you fold your arms in front of people, they're really going to feel and act as though they are being rejected by you. So just be aware of that. However, not all people who fold their arms are angry or defensive or closed off. Anybody have another reason that you may want to fold your arms? You're cold, exactly. And a cue that somebody is just cold and they're not meaning to offend you is if their hands are higher up on their torsos. So, in the end, being able to read another person's body language will overall help to improve your interpersonal communication and even further your relationships with them. What we spoke about today will hopefully be useful to you the next time you're communicating with another. From this, I hope you have learned to win arguments, to decipher lies from truth, love from lust, and in the end, to recognize a guarded person who may be imploring you to break their barrier down.
Is it off?
Any questions?
Yeah. You can't fill them with your hands.
No questions with the what I presented. Any body language questions?
No.
No.
But you're too nervous when you're talking. I told you, was it off?